It's time to crack on, as we say. We have Sean Kesch with us, Head of Technology and Science at The Sun. Afternoon to you, Sean.
How's it going?
Always good to have you with us. We were just talking during the break there about the sort of busy time for you is, you know, after the summer holidays, as it were, you know, September to Christmas, because stuff really starts to happen then, right?
Oh, absolutely. All the stuff comes out September through November because they want to be under the tree at Christmas. That's what it is. And they want to be out for Black Friday sales.
Yeah.
So summer, it's pretty dead, but September onwards, loads of gadgets.
Is anyone going to invent a new phone when we suddenly go, oh, wow, it's got that on it? Because there was a period, you know, iPhone 10 sort of onwards for a bit, where you'd wait for the new one and there'd be something extraordinary going on. You know, might have a voice recorder that was never there before or something of that nature. You know, people would look at it, emojis suddenly showed up, you know. I can remember when an iPhone had no apps on it, and I may have told you this, but a friend of mine, and I said to him, I said, you know, what about like a dictionary or something on this thing? He said, oh, there's going to be this thing coming out called applications. And when they come out, they will be able to do that. And I didn't really, and I remember looking it up. What is this? They weren't called apps. They didn't exist. And then suddenly they were there.
I remember on one of the very early iPhones, there was this app that it was meant to be an ocarina, like a little musical instrument. So you'd hold the iPhone and then you'd blow into it to make a noise.
No way.
And I tried to show my nan this, and my poor nan, she took my iPhone and put it in her mouth.
Did she really?
She did.
That's a good nan manoeuvre.
I was like,
with
oh,
nans versus technology. Surely there's a whole podcast in that, isn't there? Nans and tech. Yeah, yeah. It's funny because my mum was a bit like that with technology. It was extraordinary because in the kitchen. She and my nan could assemble a food mixer, the likes of which they wouldn't ask you to do on the Krypton factor. You know, these things with about 38 moving parts. Bolt it together, but give her a remote control and say, you know, find Sky Sports. It'd be like, whoa, what am I doing? It's just a button, Mum. Just press the button. I'm
worried this is going to happen to me. I feel like I'm very on top of tech, but I'm stressing out that in 20, 25 years,
yeah,
it's going to hit
maybe
me and I won't know what's going on.
Well, let's start with this story then. HMRC, and we understand they're using AI to find the tax cheats. What's happening?
Oh, absolutely. So they're basically scanning people's social media with AI to see if you are spending loads of money but not declaring it. Now, they're not doing this to everyone. They're only currently using this for criminal investigation. So it's not like wholesale scanning of social media. But they are, if you are under criminal investigation for tax evasion, so you're specifically not paying tax that you owe, they might use AI to scan your social media to say, oh, you're on private jets, you've bought a boat.
There you are.
To be honest, I think it's your own fault if you...
Well, because we see people do this, don't we? People who've got a claim with, you know, a sort of disability benefit or something, and then they post a picture of them winning a marathon, and you think, hang on, you told the court you couldn't walk more than a metre unaided. You walked in hunched over with a Zimmer frame. You had your family around you holding you up as they try to sit you in the chair. And there you are doing 26 miles around Greenwich Park. I mean, you've got to be stupid.
I think you're asking for it, to be honest. I think if you were willfully evading tax, which is the type of people they're talking about, and you're posting pictures of you in the Maldives, you know, you're asking for trouble.
I never understand, you know, I don't post much on X. Do you know why, Sean? I really can't be bothered. I was looking at an account the other day, and I've said this a few times, of somebody in my industry who has posted more times in 5 days than I have in 5 years. And you go through it and you scroll and scroll and scroll and you think you've done 150 tweets or posts today. That's like a full-time job for someone, isn't it?
I mean, but people make money from this stuff, having these personal brands. I try to stay off X. I find that people are quite angry on there, and if I go on, you just end up in arguments with people.
Yeah, you're a science journalist. You don't want anger.
No, I want peace. So sometimes, you know, I'll try and watch happy stuff on TikTok, or I'll go to Reddit. I find Reddit actually is quite good because you can really pick the communities that you want to be in, and I just pick fun stuff that I like. Maybe it's stuff about cats or stuff about a video game.
You don't do the original. You're the original cat video person.
That's mostly for my wife, but you know, you can never get enough cat content. After a long, difficult day, it's nice to get home and just look at cats.
Yeah, just look up dogs jumping into water. That will keep you occupied forever. It's hilarious. There's thousands of videos of dogs. You know, dogs love a bit of water. But there's some just brilliant snapshots of dogs like running over piers, doing somersaults, and in they go into the drink.
I had a colleague the other day
built for you, Sean.
Call it bubble gum for the brain, which I quite love actually.
It is bubble gum. It is bubble gum for the brain. So if you're the kind of person, the sort of half-wit, I'll use that phrase again, that decides to... I'm always a bit I think when people post holiday snaps, if they've been to exotic places, particularly if they're high-profile people or they've got a nice new car, I'm a bit uncomfortable with that anyway. I think it's kind of, you can't define it any other way than bragging, really.
It's the humble brag, isn't it, where they pretend they're not bragging, but actually they are bragging.
Yeah.
It's like, I've just gone for a drive, and then the Range Rover's in the background of the photo.
Yeah, you can't sort of do the man or the woman or the people and then post a picture of you with 120,000 quid's worth of car. It's just not a good fit.
No, but so if you are worried about this getting you, this AI system, and you're not evading tax, you're working hard, accountants usually just recommend keeping a track of what you're spending and what you're taking in. And I know it's a bit of a pain, but if you just keep a track of what you're spending, if HMRC's AI system ever comes to you and says, oh no, you've been you're doing something dodgy, at least you then have that record of, this is where this money came from. This holiday came from doing this, and you have the records. Yeah. But at the moment, the AI system is only being used for criminal investigations. But they have a whole other system called HMRC Connect, which is already looking at social media and all this other stuff that you're doing, if you're buying land, if you're selling stuff on Etsy, and it maps all that out anyway. So, the use of computerized systems at the tax office isn't new. This is just a sort of more advanced system specifically for scanning social media. They're also trying to make a sort of chatbot system that helps you understand tax rules a bit easier, because actually, although tax evasion does cost the Treasury billions, more money is being lost to people just doing their taxes wrong by accident. There's I think, I was going to say thousands, I think it's tens of thousands of pages of tax documentation on the website. And so they're going to try and have a chatbot that can help you understand some of that a bit easier. So, get some of the money back into the Treasury.
Underpaying is not good, but overpaying is also not good.
Oh, absolutely, no.
If you've done any of that. Let's move to another area.
You imagine the AI scanning saying you're not living fancy enough for what you're taking in.
There should be a message from HMRC saying, come on, spend some more money.
You're driving an old banger.
You've got loads of cash here. Another area of the internet that's been controversial, of course, was the Online Safety Act, which of course meant that you've got to ID yourself. It seems to have manifested itself in all sorts of areas that wasn't really intended, like people just want to watch the news in their area or maybe watch a cat video, and it's come up saying, sorry, due to local laws, you're not allowed to view this, which does look a bit sinister when you see that.
But it's incredible, really. It just shows how difficult it is to regulate and police the internet, because you can't just say, you need to be over 18, you need to show ID, because it's just too difficult, because there's so many different websites, so many, the way Reddit operates is very different from the way that YouTube operates, from X, and so it's very difficult to police this stuff. I mean, the adult websites are saying that they've lost millions of viewers in the UK, but they're also reporting that suddenly viewers are going up in other countries. So clearly, as predicted, people are using software to get around this. I live in Venezuela, and I'm logging onto the website. So, there is a big drop. The main sites are saying we've lost millions of viewers in the UK.
Pornhub's, which is a well-known porn site for those who don't know, Finn told me about it. Pornhub's daily visits fell from 3.2 million in July to 2 million in early August.
I was looking it up today, and apparently Ofcom says that 14 million Brits watch online pornography, which
14 million
Which
Brits.
I suspect is low, probably. I suspect it's probably higher.
Yeah, I was going to say, yes, it's twice that at least. But that, some would say, well, that's, not every person that's not going there now is a kid, which is what this online safety thing. There will be adults who just don't want to identify themselves, right? Because you are required to do that in order to look at all the mucky stuff.
And I think what Ofcom would say about this is that there were all, and they did, before these rules came in, they said kids who want to access this stuff will find ways to get around it. You're going to struggle to stop a teenager that is tech savvy from getting around this block. It's very simple, really. But what it should stop is young children accidentally stumbling across the adult content. So because it has to be age gated on social media sites, maybe a teenager that goes on Reddit might not accidentally see the stuff because that stuff is locked behind ID. So it's more preventing the accidental exposure to the adult content. But it's having this unintended effect of, last week on the App Store, that all of the top apps, I think probably like 6 out of the 10 top apps on iTunes were VPNs. So people are using this stuff to get around the,
of course they
rules. And it's impossible to block everyone from it. It's just not workable.
We like a story on scamming, Sean, and there's always plenty of those around in the world of science and technology. This one involves, this is like my worst nightmare to read this. Parents' banks could be emptied overnight in terrifying Fortnite V-Bucks raid that target kids playing the game. I cannot tell you how many V-Bucks I have purchased in the last couple of years. It's
a big Fortnite fan, Ian.
I wish it was for me. Yeah, so my little boy, it's like there's almost not, you know, every time we let him game, he'll come down and say, Dad, can I have some V-Bucks, please? And of course, it's very easy to do, you know, for him. If I give him the OK, he presses the button and I just get a message saying, you've purchased $4.99, or, of course, it then goes up. You can have $8.99, $19.99.
You've got to keep track of that
$29.99. Yeah, you really have. I wonder if I can claim that back. But what's happening here? There's a scam afoot.
Well, V-Bucks, obviously, as you say, V-Bucks, it's a virtual currency. It's very popular because you spend them in the game to buy costumes for your characters. So it's a bit sort of like, you know, at school or in real life, you want the flashiest clothes, the nice trainers or whatever.
Yeah.
It's the same for that, you know, you spend them in the game and you get all this gear. Well, cyber criminals are onto this. You know, they know that kids want this stuff, and so they target them, because actually it's easier to target a child than an adult. Adults tend to be very aware of scams. I mean, lots of adults still get caught out, but a child maybe doesn't have that same experience. So there are lots of ways that criminals are trying to go after kids to get your money, to get your money that you'd be spending on V-Bucks. So often one of the ways that they'll do it is they'll set up fake websites that promise discounted V-Bucks. You know, you spend $4.99 on V-Bucks, maybe you can get the same amount for $2.99. They'll send these to kids on social media, and then the kids go to those websites, and then they buy these V-Bucks with your credit card, and suddenly the scammers have your credit card details, all your money's gone. Sometimes they'll add your child in the game and say, you know, I can hook you up with some V-Bucks, just give me the login for your account. And, you know, as an adult, you're like, well, I would never give the login to my account. But if you're an 8-year-old or a 12-year-old and you've got the promise of loads of V-Bucks, suddenly that seems like a really good idea.
100%.
You know, get your V-Bucks. So if you want to stop this from happening, you can go into your parental controls. So if you just log onto the website, into your child's account, you can set up a PIN so that if any time they ever want to spend money on V-Bucks in the game, they have to enter the PIN. Obviously, don't tell them the PIN, but if you keep that PIN secret, then you can approve it. And you can also stop them from adding people or people adding them with the PIN as well. So, you know, it cuts out that idea of
That's already in the game.
That's in the game, so you can go into the game and you can set those settings up. You can also set up protections on your devices, but the good thing about setting it up in the game is that it stops it on all devices. So, you know, it's not like if they're playing on the console and then they switch to the iPhone, they can get around it. If it's set up in the game, the parental controls, it works everywhere.
With that login, it will be,
Now, if they set up a sneaky login somewhere else, well then, you know,
well, it's
but maybe then they're savvy enough to avoid the scammers.
Well, we're going through an Italian brain rot phase at the moment at home. Are you familiar with that world?
No.
Italian brain rot is, how long has it been around, Finn? Finn thinks it's hilarious whenever I mention this, because Finn is familiar. Why is that funny, Finn?
Oh, he looks traumatised.
For some reason, he's just almost died laughing at that point. He says it's my. He just said it's just my age, and me even using the phrase Italian brain rot. Don't even get me into the. I mean, when my little boys come down, and they start telling me about. I mean, I don't even know how to describe it. As he's kind of. I think Finn told me it's a sort of AI-generated game. Basically, that's the nuts and bolts of it, and. It is all kind of weird Italian sort of made-up names, and there's a game that I can't remember, it's some sort of raid game where you've got to go in and steal stuff off individuals, and they steal it off you. Familiar with this?
And Finn is a big fan.
Finn used to be a gamer back in the day.
Oh no, now he's retired.
Now he's retired, he made enough money, he legged it. But when you hear kids talk in the lingo, about, because they go, Dad, guess what happened? And they start mentioning these characters. It sounds like the most insane thing you've ever heard.
Yeah, I used to be quite a hardcore gamer, and I remember in my teenage years, because my laptop was not very good, it would overheat as I was playing. So I used to put a coat on and balance the laptop out of the window to like cool it with the outside air. It was terrible, but you know, I did what I needed to do to win the game.
Ballerina Cappuccina, there's one. There's one of the characters. Ballerina Cappuccina, Bombardini, Crocodini, Laurelini, Chimpanzini, Bamanini.
I didn't even know how to type this.
And that is how the conversation goes. Dad, guess what? Chimpanzini Bamanini came in, and then Cappuccino Assanino did this, and it's just an absolute mad world.
And you just give them some more V-Bucks.
I'm not even sure it's very healthy. We were talking about what phones don't do anymore, but iPhone users have got there's something new coming to iPhone to be able to apparently get a notification when it's going to rain. Isn't that just a weather app?
Oh, so this is actually a really little known feature of the weather app on the iPhone, and you can go into your settings basically and turn on rain notifications, and it will warn you if it's going to rain in the next few minutes, which is really, really handy at the moment. I mean, if you noticed, we're getting surprise showers. It happened to me last night. All of our washing got soaked on the line, which is a bit of a nightmare. But so if you go into settings,
I don't know why I'm laughing at that. There's nothing funny about that.
it was almost so depressing that it was funny.
Sean's trousers got wet.
But if you go into your phone settings and you turn on location to be always on for the weather app, so not just on but always on, even when you're not using it, you can then go into the weather app, turn on these rain notifications, and it'll pop up a few minutes before it's about to rain. Very handy in summer, definitely.
Yep.
In winter, it's always raining anyway, so not much use there.
Indeed.
You might want to turn it off, but summer, great.
There it is. Connected to weather, I suppose, a meteor shower is on its way tonight.
Oh yeah, this is a.
You love this stuff, Sean, don't you?
I love it. I love.
You live for a meteor shower.
Space stuff is free, and I think this is a really, really. I mean, this is the best meteor shower of the year. We get loads every year, you know, and they happen every few months. But this one is called the Perseid. It's really, really good. It lasts until August 27th. The peak was a few days ago, but because the moon was very bright, it wasn't really a good time to see it. If you go out on August 23rd, it's a new moon. It'll be dark. You'll be able to see loads of fireballs flying through the sky. It'll be brilliant. It's great.
Really? So you can physically see these things? Because I'm often slightly underwhelmed by this stuff. Somebody tells me about an eclipse and I go out there and I am the bloke that goes, is that it?
This is the meteor shower to go out for. So if you're going to go out for any of them, this
23rd
is the one.
of... Oh.
23rd of August, and you want to look basically anywhere in the sky because we're sort of flying through a debris field. So they can basically happen anywhere. It's 150 meteors an hour. So
wow.
Pretty good.
So we will see something. Very finally, tell us about the Sun Club deal, Sean.
Oh yeah, so Sun Club, normally it's £1.99 a month. It's loads of great exclusives from the Sun. A special summer deal, we're doing 3 months for £1. Now you can't get much for £1 these days, so this is a
even a pound shop won't give you something like that, for goodness sake.
3 months, loads of exclusives, loads of ways to save money. We reckon you'll save thousands with it, so you know, spend £1. See if you like it.
3 months for £1. Go to the Sun website, check it out, join it, sign up, all the rest of it. 3 months for £1. That's got.
And loads of tech on there as well. So if you like anything,
Sean's stuff on there is fast becoming the most dominant part of the whole website. It's brilliant. Love having you on, Sean. We will speak again next week.
Thanks for having me.
Sean Kesch is Head of Technology and Science at the Sun.